All right, everybody, welcome back to the number one television program in the history of the universe. I am Brian Lee. My poster's missing. Son of a bee. I took it down to grab my Mark Lawrence books. All my Mark Lawrence books are behind it on the shelf. I took it down. Now the Mark Lawrence books are right here on wonderful display for all of you, your viewing pleasure. But I forgot to put the poster back up. Let's start again. I am Brian Lee Durfee, author of The Forgetting Moon, The Blackest Heart, and The Lonesome Crown, all three books published by Simon & Schuster's Saga Press. Now, some of that stuff will be edited out, so you won't even see the mistake. But today we're going to be reviewing Mark Lawrence, Red Sister, book number 1. Actually, it's called The First Book of the Ancestor. Mark Lawrence, I read the trilogy. What's it called? The Prince of Thorns, King of Thorns, Emperor of Thorns. Loved those books. Some of my favorite fantasies of all time. So we're doing this trilogy now. The second trilogy. Well, I'd read the book that wouldn't burn, so I can't say this is the second trilogy. This is the third trilogy that I've started of his. Again, more things to edit out. That'll be taken care of in post. Okay. Why do I love Mark Lawrence and his writing? He's got a very lyrical writing style. His world building is very vast and intricate. And his characters, at least in the other two trilogies that I guess it's one trilogy that I completed, the other trilogy that I started, but he hasn't finished even publishing those. Anyway, God, I got so much shit to edit out of this. I'm just babbling on and on. Let's talk about the cover first, because you know I love graphic design and cover illustration. This cover was done by a artist named Bastien Lecouf de Harme. I probably am not even pronouncing that properly. I would assume that that same artist did the covers for the other two books. Oh my Lord, I can't even. A trilogy is 3 books, right, people? Not two. Anyway, the books, the trilogy looks great. Looks great on the shelf. It's just a dynamite looking trilogy. Aesthetically, so let's give the publisher an A+ for that. I've already talked about the writing style of Mark Lawrence. In this particular book, I talked about a little bit about his world building. Now, in this particular book, you learn more and more about this seemingly odd medieval fantasy as you go. I mean, it's not spelled out for you. There's no prologue to explain to you what's going on. As it just you learn about the world as you go, and it's kind of a strange world. It's slowly revealed over time that you're on an alien planet. I don't know if that makes sense. You're on a different planet than Earth, is what I'm trying to say. Now, this planet is circling a star, a sun that's dying. And this sun can't produce enough heat to keep this planet from going into an ice age. However, there is a moon orbiting the planet that it's called a red moon. It casts enough heat from the moon down to the planet that it keeps a strip of around the circumference of the planet. It keeps a strip of that free of ice. People can live on it, farm on it, survive on it. But it's just a strip that circles the entire planet. Now, this isn't evident as you start the novel. You learn these facts over time, which is fine. I like that. I was a little... it took me a minute to figure out what was going on, but as he explained it, I was like, oh, all right, that's cool. You know. Now, the story starts with a character named Giljon. Well, it actually starts with a character named Seda and a hanging, a beheading, a hanging, a death sentence hanging over a lot of people's heads. And then we jump to Giljon and his roving cage of slave children. And we follow this roving cage of slave children and this slaver for a while at the beginning. And of course, Seda is one of the slave children. Nona, our main character, is another one of the slave children. So we follow these two young captives as they are going through the landscape that's slowly being revealed to us. in a very, the prose is good, the writing style is excellent, things are described well. Um, I will say that I think I liked the writing style and voice and tone of the Prince of Thorns series a little bit more than this one, although you can tell that the writing is top notch in this one too. I just liked a lot of the stuff going on in this other trilogy a little better than this one. So, where are these slave children being taken? Well, they're being taken to an abbey slash convent slash castle place slash school where they're going to be trained to be killers, assassins slash nuns. And the place is called the Convent of Sweet Mercy. And there's several different disciplines that these youngsters are trained in. And there's several different types of people that are on this alien planet that kind of fall within these disciplines. But these young trainees have to learn how to do all these disciplines before they can graduate and before they can accept their holy orders as whatever it is they're masters of. Now, these things are, number one, there's the Garant, and that is based upon size and strength. The Hunska is based upon speed and swiftness. The Marjal is kind of lesser magics, and the Quantal is greater magics. And so these youngsters are trained kind of in a Hogwarts type setting with a lot of nuns kind of overseeing them, a lot of different characters, whether it's the nuns watching over the trainees or just the amount of trainees themselves. There's a lot of characters to follow in this. They all interact. They all have their personal problems. They all have their personal inter-problems. Is that a thing? Another thing to edit out. I know what I'm talking about here, folks. So you got all these characters kind of intermingling with a lot of different things as they're going through. Kind of like Harry Potter. Like I said, it's kind of like a Hogwarts for magical assassins type of a thing. And Nona, our main character, who ends up being our main character in the end, she's kind of like the Harry Potter-esque, student in this thing where, everybody kind of thinks, with Harry Potter, it's kind of like, this crazy Harry Potter is full of wild ideas. But in the end, he wins the day. And that's kind of the way this goes, except for there's a few more roadblocks here for Nona. She's got a secret past, which I won't really go into, but that sort of eventually follows her to this convent and causes some problems with her. This secret past haunts her. It causes some inner demons within her she has to struggle with amidst the struggle with the other students that she's going through and the people that are teaching her and this place that she lives. And it's an interesting story. Gosh, when I first started reading it, I don't know why, but I started just the style of the way it was written reminded me a lot of the Catherine Kurtz Dirony series, if you guys remember that. I don't know why. There's no real correlation between the two. It's just that's the feel I got of it. Anyway, but I love that series, and I'm going to be reviewing a lot of those books too. I give this a solid. I'm going to give this one a solid 8.5 out of 10. I know that's a little lower than I gave the Prince of Thorns series back here. Because it's just one of my favorite fantasy series of all time. I love those books. This one was really entertaining. It kept me engaged. I liked the characters. I liked the school of youngsters being trained to do things they probably shouldn't be trained to do. I mean, could you imagine if we had a school of assassins for youngsters here in America? Maybe we do. I don't know. Anyway, what did I give this? A solid 8.5 out of 10.